Hello, everyone. Steph here again with another Class of Courage episode for you guys. Happy International Women's Day. This is a very important day for all of us. And today I have with me my beautiful client, friend, and registered social worker, Jennifer Cranford. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and this is the perfect opportunity, given that it's International Women's Day and day 30 of my journey. So
that's incredible. And I'm so excited to talk about that and just share about your story and my story and just help women understand a little bit about how what you see on social media is not always as it seems. So how would you start off your journey?
Oh God, which one? I would say it's a long journey. Started with my childhood. If we go right back to childhood, I was overweight my entire life. I struggled with my weight. Every diet you can imagine, I've tried. And it wasn't until, I'll give you the Coles Notes version, that I got out of a very abusive relationship of 4 years, and I started Weight Watchers. That is where my actual weight loss journey happened. So I went from tracking points to tracking by meal plans, and then I started tracking with macros. So I have been, I think this marks my 13th year straight of tracking. So I've never deviated. I was 13 years straight of tracking.
Yeah. And what you were talking about with me was that people look at that and they think, I wish I had your dedication. I wish I had your strength. And what goes through your mind when you hear these things?
I knew I was dedicated. I knew I was hardworking, but that came out of fear. That was all out of fear. That was, when people would say that to me, because I would get that a lot, oh, I wish I had your tone or your body, and I wish I had your dedication. How can you not eat that food? And then all I'm thinking is, I don't say it out loud, because if I say it out loud, then it's true. But when they would say that, I'm like, well, I don't have a life. I wish I could go out with my friends. Like, I would make every excuse. I mean, I'm a very outgoing person. I would make friends at the grocery store. I could make friends anywhere. And it was really interesting because I would notice myself, it wasn't an issue with people asking me to do things. They would ask me to do things, and I would make up every excuse not to do it because that would hinder my training. I couldn't do that because I had to go to the gym that day, or it had to fit around my gym time or my meal timing, because everything was so regimented and routine.
Yeah. And that's definitely the way it is. And what I found is, like, any bit of human emotion that arises is almost like you need to shut that down because you need to grind.
Right. You can't. And it's really interesting because I'm a very open person. I'm an emotional person. And I've also been in a relationship where that was seen as a flaw. So not only was the bodybuilding kind of aspect of it, it's like, you got to go. Doesn't matter if you're hungry, you push through. It doesn't matter if you're upset, you push through. That's what makes you a warrior. That's what makes you good. That's what makes you better than the person you're standing next to, is because you push that much further, because nothing's good enough.
Yeah. And
that is the thing. You don't list one more rep, one more set. Everything is one more than what's expected of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, we're chasing this goal. But even myself, I got to the pro card. I won my pro card, but it didn't make me any better of a person. I looked at myself as more flawed then than I did before, because I had to grind that much harder, and whatever I was giving was never good enough, like you said. So it's like we're chasing this invisible carrot that's never ever going to be achieved, even if we win. That's so right. You found that grind mentality just left you in darkness.
Well, you're always chasing a goal that you never reached. I remember that before I competed, because I love competing. I love, love, love the sport of bodybuilding. I have so much respect for it. I practice it every day. But I was proud of myself before I competed. I looked at my body as a body. I was a full body. And after I competed, I found myself looking in the mirror and reduced to parts. Like I was no longer Jen a body. I was, you know what, your arms, you know, you got to tone up your arms a bit more. Your shoulders aren't big enough. Like my arms were broke down to shoulders, biceps, forearms. My legs were reduced to hamstrings, quads, calves, glutes. It was no longer legs. It was broken into parts, which is super interesting and ironic because I never wanted people to see me as that.
Yeah. And it reduces you to being so small that it's like, I never feel like I'm good enough, when really we are supposed to be expansive energy beings. Our energy is huge if we tap into that. But all these suppressions and all these dismissive worlds that we go into shuts us down.
That's right. And you could feel one way, but as soon as you look in the mirror, you again reduce yourself. You suppress those feelings of confidence and going, you know what? Nope, you got this to work on. You got this to work on. No, you still got something to work on here. So you were constantly criticized. And I say were, but I still am. I catch myself a lot. I mean, I'm still very early in my journey, but I don't think that's ever going to go away, but it's going to be a different perspective to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I find is that as soon as you start dieting, as soon as you pinch yourself and say you're too fat or you're not good enough and you start dieting, your brain becomes 100% consumed in the physicality of yourself, what you look like and the numbers and the food you're eating and what people think of you. But then as you're trying to reverse that obsession, it's like, okay, now we got to work on, okay, and 90% of us is that. And then less and less of you becomes that. There'll always be that little piece of us that criticizes us. Even when we're thinking that we are healed, we're never really healed.
Mm-hmm. And it's very easy to go in that rabbit hole because, I mean, I'll have times where, you know, I'm very self-critical and the first thing I want to do is control. So, and what I thought was I had so much control before with measuring my food, weighing it out, the amount of exercise I did. So I thought I was in control, but really what those numbers were controlling me. So it's so easy to get caught up in that because when I get self-critical, I find myself, I just want to go for a walk, but then I'll stop myself and ask, like, am I going for a walk to make myself feel better or to ease my mind that whatever I just ate, I just need to get up and work it off.
Yeah. And that's really powerful what you said, in that you thought you were in control, but really at the end of the day, the numbers and the protocols were in control of you. That's a very powerful statement.
It 100% they control me. I thought I had control because I was saying, you know what, I control what goes into my mouth. I control how much energy I exert into my workouts. But really that controlled my entire life because everything revolved around that. Then it intensifies it that much more because the validation that you are getting from other people. So the leaner you get, you know, the more muscular you look, the more veins that come out of your arms. People are like, oh my God, Jen, like you look great. You know, and I'm sure you can speak to that. Look, when you got your pro card, you know, everyone's like, congratulate, you got so much external validation that it's like, okay, if I don't do this, it's the opposite. People won't like you. You won't be accepted. No one's going to love you. You know, you get into this like mindset that to be accepted and loved is dependent on how you look.
Yeah. And in that state, you're constantly fighting against your body. And that's when I really start to talk about what happens when you fight against your body, after so long, your body will fight against you. So that's either in ways of getting you to binge eat, which you've never really struggled with, but it manifested itself in different ways for your body. So you noticed decrease in your wellness in other ways.
I had binge episodes for sure. Like, but I just would not allow myself to have it for, I'd probably do it once or twice a year. Say Christmas time came, I would know that I wouldn't allow myself to have that any other time throughout the year. So you'd eat to the point of sickness, and when I started this journey, it was, I have no idea, and I'm still learning. I'm 100% still learning, but I think you asked me, are you hungry? I'm like, fuck, I don't know. Like, I had no idea, and I still am listening. Like, I don't know right now. It's sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But I didn't know if I was actually hungry. Or I would wait to the point of I'm foggy, I'm like at the point of like shaking, because my blood sugars are dropped or something, to the point where I'm like, I know I'm hungry. Right. And then it's like you couldn't feed yourself enough at that point.
Yeah. And that's
what?
really connect from your body, where you fought it so much that you're just so disconnected from its cues.
100%. And then I didn't even know, I got so confused of what times I should eat, how many times I should eat. Then I had several emotional, I think, like I would call them breakdowns at the time, but they were breakthroughs, really, because I remember I just started crying one day and I was like, I just want to know. I just want to know. And then Tim would look at me and he'd be like, want to know what? Like, what? And I'm like, I just need to know how much I'm eating. I need to know how much I weigh. Like, when I gave up everything that night I was speaking with you, I gave up all my scales. They were like my best friends. They were my safety net.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So what brought you to reach out to me?
Okay. So I was, for the past, I would say almost 5 years. I have been working on more balance in my life. I'm like, you know what? Like my identity was all about bodybuilding and the bikini look. Even though I wasn't competing, because the last time I competed was 2016. And I felt like I had to keep up that image at all times. And I loved it. Like, I loved training, but not the other piece of it. I've seen how much it was affecting my life and impacting me mentally, physically, emotionally, socially. So I was making, I was working with a coach. I still had a coach at that time. And I've had a coach since 2010 straight. I've never not had a coach since then. And I was saying, I need more balance. And yeah, I was making significant changes, but I was still struggling a lot. Here I am 5 years later, and I'm only 30 days in, but I'm going ahead of myself now. Okay, so Megan Stanley, she posted a picture of her pregnant, and I remember looking at it and going, and I wrote her immediately, and I met someone that I know that I'm going to have a future with, that I want. This first time in my life I've thought of children. Yeah. So when I looked at her, I'm like, okay, so if Megan Stanley can have a child, like, I need to figure out, like, I had to write her. I said, I really don't want to be ignorant, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way. I said, but how are you pregnant? I said, did you lose your period? Because I haven't had a period in 5 years. And before that, I was on birth control. So that could have been a fake period, because that's just a withdrawal from the hormones. So God knows how long I actually haven't had a period. And she told me her story. She went and I believe she went and got fertility testing, but basically she was diagnosed, I think, with hypothalamic amenorrhea, which is underfueling, over exercising. So your body actually shuts down its reproductive cycle because it doesn't have the energy to undergo those processes. It's not something you need to live. So your body lets go of that and says, no, I can't house another individual for you right now. I don't have the energy to go through that cycle, because your body doesn't trust you.
No, and the scary thing is that for competitors, it's just seen as normal. Like, okay, did you lose your period yet? That's strange. You didn't lose your period yet. Yeah. I lost for 8 years. 8 years. Yeah. That's not okay. That's a signal. That's your body screaming in your face. There's something not right here.
That is a woman's alarm. That's a system that we have to naturally go through for many other reasons other than a reproduction. Like for bone density, like our body needs to go through all these processes. That's our natural signal of something is not right in our body. And you're so right. It's so normalized. Oh, that's a good thing you didn't get your period. That means you're lean. Like, what? Are you kidding me?
So messed up.
When you look at it, you're like celebrating the fact I don't have to get tampons anymore. Let me tell you, when I got my period back, it was a better accomplishment than when I got my bachelor degree.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah. And when you messaged me that you got it, I knew what it was like, because when I got mine back in 2017, I felt like it was Christmas Day. It was like my body's finally responding. Finally.
Yeah. And I mean, I've only had one. I'm waiting for my next one, which will be in next week, hopefully. But it was the biggest accomplishment. I can't explain the feeling. I can't explain it.
I know. So let's go back to, you reached out to Megan Stanley, and she mentioned she had that hypothalamic amenorrhea, and
so then underfueling, over exercising.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know more. Like I'm the type of person that if I know something is, if I want to change something, I change it and I go full force. I want to know all about it. So I listen to podcasts every morning. I bought the No Period Now What book. And I just wasn't getting what I needed out of it. I was educating myself, but I just didn't know how to do it. Like, I knew exactly what the problem was. I mean, I'm on the list for a fertility clinic, but I wanted to make the changes I could make while waiting. So anyways, I wrote Megan and I said, do you know any coaches or anyone that can help me with this? I just need this. I need to talk about it. And she told me to contact you. And I did. And it was that first conversation that it was like you gave me permission. I know you didn't, but I felt I finally got the permission to say, that's it. I don't need it. Yeah. And I gave up every scale. I wrote an email to my coaches and I said, thank you for your service, but I'm done. I'm done. And that is the first time in almost 13 years.
It's very emotional. I know. Trust me.
13 years that I have done things for me and that I'm actually in control.
And now you're actually in control.
Yeah.
For real this time. But a lot of times it's just that bit of permission. That's all we're looking for, is that permission to just be ourselves, not to fit a mold, not to fit a competitor identity, not to fit this certain persona of someone that you're truly not deep down. It's just being given that permission to take care of yourself and honor your body really just gives you this ability to tap into yourself again.
It actually got me to critically step back and say, you know what? Like, what is my body telling me? Because I ignored it for so long. I ignored it for so long. Like, there was times like probably my body was tired and needed a rest, and I'm like, nope, got to get to the gym because on my schedule it says I have to train today.
It's
Or
so,
holding off eating because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't hungry at night.
and that's when we really start to step back and say, okay, that was a neurotic thought. Like even the fact that, okay, putting a banana in your oatmeal, putting a whole banana in your oatmeal, what would that make us feel as competitors?
So many food rules. I still like, well, I do like, but the difference now is that I know the food rules there. I know what it's my, like, I'll ask myself, is this a food rule? Is this why I'm not eating it? Is this fear? And what am I afraid of? Or do I actually want it? Like peanut butter in my oatmeal every morning. I had to stop saying like I can't have it. There was time I wouldn't buy peanut butter because I'm like,
And
no, that's too much fat. Or I can't have eggs and peanut butter in the same day.
yeah, those right there, like, okay, I already had carbs today, so I can't have more carbs. I already had fats today, so I can't have, okay. Fats are something that we need as females. They help our hormones regulate.
Exactly.
They're so important. They are essential. Fats are essential, and we demonize them, which in turn only fucks up our hormones and fucks up our brain function and so many other systems. Our joints aren't as lubricated. So our skin is not as nice.
Yep.
We have so many benefits. But it's good that you started recognizing, oh shit, that was a neurotic thought. That was fucked up. Like my motto to get me back to normal was to say, Steph, just be normal. Like I would either put a little teeny tiny bit of peanut butter on the toast that I could barely see it, or if I was in a fuck it mode, I would slather the peanut butter on. So either way, I wasn't being normal. So I had to tell myself, be normal, be normal. Don't have a little piece of everything for turkey dinner. Just be normal.
And I think that there's so much fear in that. Like there is so much fear in that to being normal, because what does normal mean when you are years depriving yourself? And I say depriving myself because, it's not like I was starved. Like I ate. I was, there was some, like I was up to almost 2,000 calories. But like for the amount of exercise, the amount of activities I was doing in the run of a day, the fact that I wasn't listening to my body, because there was times that I was hungry and then I'm like, I'm just going to bed because I'm hungry. Like that's a problem. That's a problem. Or fearing to go to a family birthday party because they're ordering food and you don't want to bring your little Tupperware food with you because of judgment. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. And when we don't remember what should have been beautiful experiences and events in our life because we were too caught up in how big our arms looked in pictures.
Mm-hmm. I'm living for the first time in my life. Like I am living, and I have memories from before, but I'm happy. I'm finally happy. Now, mind you, like I have my days. I struggle several times a day. But the biggest thing for me is the support system reminds me of my why.
Mm-hmm. And you're doing this for you now. You're not doing it for validation from anybody, or you're not doing it so you can have someone tell you what to do, just so you don't have to think about what to do. You're doing this so you can trust your own self. And that's really the foundation of wellness that I really wanted to put out there with Kaizen theory, that a lot of people just skip over. They'll look for, okay, tell me what to eat, tell me what to train, but without the foundation, you can't skip that.
And then sending in your pictures for someone to say, yeah, do look okay. You haven't gotten worse, or that this is where we can do better. Sending your pictures on a monthly basis for someone else to tell you how to look.
And how to eat and how much to eat. And coaches will say, like, well, I'm not starving my clients. Look, they're on 2,000 calories a day. But yes, okay, you can be on 2,000 calories a day or 2,500, but there's days where your body might need 3,500 calories. And as long as you're eating within your hunger, you're not going to get fat like they tell you you're going to. And some days your body might only need 1,200. We are fluctuating beings. And that's just the way it is. We are not systematic beings. We are very, very diverse. We're not closed systems, like I say. It's not like we're a cup that we can just pour water into and then just poke a hole and let it come out. We are so complex. We are open systems. We can't just say, this is the way it is. This is your calories you're burning. This is your calories you're eating. It don't work like that.
No. And I mean, there's days where I'm more active than others and I'm fine. I'm more hungry. Like we went on a hike to Freshwater Bay the day before yesterday. Gorgeous. And I found I was hungrier that day just because my activity level was increased. Another thing I got rid of, a Fitbit.
Yes, that was another form of judgment.
And it's really funny because I walk now, and it's only lately that I'll notice that I no longer have a Fitbit. I was so aware of that on my arm, and to make sure I got in at least 10,000 steps a day. I wouldn't have enjoyed a hike because I was worried about the steps. The other day I did a hike because I enjoyed it. It was a beautiful day. Yeah, and I could enjoy it and be in the moment.
Exactly. And it takes you out of your head and into reality, because when we live in our head, we have like 600,000 thoughts a day. If we live there, it becomes a very dark place, and we're not present anymore. We lose sight of what's in front of us. It's like we develop a filter over everything, and we can't really see things for how they are.
No, it's completely distorted. That's why when I look at myself in the mirror, I ask, like, why am I looking at myself? If I start it's my perception of myself is very distorted. So I'm just learning how to look at myself differently now.
That's amazing. And it takes a while to chip away at that. And how I like to put it is peeling back the layers of yourself, who you are, because we become, as competitors or dieters, serial dieters, we become this shell of someone who we think we're supposed to be. And we think all these things, we think all these beliefs about ourselves and about food and exercise, like we got to do this at this time and all that bullshit. But when we start using our analytical mind, we start realizing, oh shit, okay, that wasn't actually me. That was something I was portraying because I thought I was supposed to. So it's beautiful, because then we actually start to see, what am I all about?
I'm finally figuring out who I am without the rules. It's like the scariest but most freeing experience.
Oh, it's beautiful. It is so fucking beautiful.
And I just remind myself of the why. I owe it to myself. I owe it to my body. I owe it to the people I want in my life. Yeah, there's just so much more than what we think. I don't even know what I think I was striving. I asked myself, what was I striving for? When would I have been happy? When would it have been good enough? It's actually, this came in.
You got it after.
Can you see it?
Yes, I can. It says, I am enough.
So I have it. So every time I look down, especially if I'm working or anything, I see it. And it's just a gentle reminder of, I no longer have to doubt myself, because what I'm doing, I'm enough. Yeah. Doesn't matter about, how much was lost or how many inches my waist is.
Yeah. And that is the most important message. And that's really my message that I've been spreading. And like when I do seminars at schools and stuff, I will tell the kids, and I will get them to go to my Instagram and actually type it out. Hashtag I am enough. I want you to verbalize it. I want you to type it. I want you to write it. I want you to use those words and really take them in. Because in this world, we don't feel like we are enough.
No, and I think social media plays a big part in that. I mean, we compare ourselves to each other in real life, right? Like I know if I'm being completely honest, I will compare myself to whatever woman is in the room. But when you bring social media into it, and with all the special apps for filtering, and it's like the highlight reel of people's lives, right? Like, you know, it just puts this whole higher expectation on women. And we have enough to begin with, you know.
Yeah, it's so true. And I mean, we're already hard enough on ourselves, but then when we see all these things online, buy this diet, I'm cutting again. Look, I'm cutting again. And then it can make you think, oh, well, I should cut too. I'm not cutting. Mm-hmm. And it makes you think you should. And I noticed that with anybody trying to transition into just being free, mm-hmm. is what should I do? What should I eat? How much should I eat? Yeah. People are looking for what should I do? They're looking for answers outside of themselves.
That's right.
We have the answers in us.
Yeah. It's just listening. It's cutting out the external noise and actually listening, sitting back and going, okay, I'm going to trust me for a moment. What am I actually feeling right now? And how am I feeling about it? Like, why am I thinking this way? What is it I need, not what I should need?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Lori and I were talking about in our class how the gut is such a big part of your immune system. It's like 90% of your immune system, and it will send you signals when things around you are dangerous, or if you need to get away from them. Like if you're in a room with someone who's toxic, mm-hmm. and aggressive and belittling, you'll get a bad feeling in your belly. You won't feel right. You'll get, oh, like something's not right. That's your body telling you something is not right here. Okay. And we stop listening to that, but it can guide us to the life that we've always wanted if we just listen to it and protect it. And I'm all about gut health and everything too, because that really does guide us in the right direction for us. That's why we have all the answers.
And it goes back to control, right? So like, if we allow ourselves or allow to listen to our internal signals as opposed to listening to external, the biggest thing for me, I found help too, was unfollowing certain people. You know, I never want anyone to think that I think less of them, or this is, you know, something against you, but this is for me. I have to unfollow you because you are a trigger for me. B, not something that I want to be internalizing for a number of reasons. It could be toxic for me in my journey. And I found that when I went through a lot of my Instagram, who I was following on Instagram, my feed changed. So I was waking up and seeing, you know, I would write my affirmations, and I would ask self-affirming questions in the morning too when I journal. And I found that if I look at Instagram in the morning, my feed changed to self-recovery and, you know, period recovery and, you know, the all-in process, and just exactly what I'm going through as opposed to what controlled my life before.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know you as well, that you still train, and I will always consider myself an athlete, but I'm not letting it control me anymore.
No. And that's
it's the culture. It's the culture that it's not the sport. It's the culture.
Yeah. It's diet culture to a T. It is diet culture that tries to put you in a bubble and make you think this is what you got to do. And it just makes you shut yourself off so much that you're a robot. Mm-hmm. And who can live happily and fulfilled and well as a robot? Nobody.
That's right. And the thing is, with women, we can make a choice. So we can feed into it, and allow it to consume us, and then how we view other women. Or we can all start, like, you know what, make it sound cheesy, but make a stand and like change the conversation.
Yeah.
Change the conversation. I mean, I was in Coffee Matters doing my home, like my schoolwork before the second lockdown. There was 4 women. I've never heard, just listen to conversations. There was 4 women that were sitting next to me, and their entire conversation was starting keto because they needed to lose so much weight, and they were talking about this part of their body, and they needed. And I'm thinking to myself, 4 smart women sitting in a coffee shop talking to one another, and this is what we base our conversations around. We have the control to change the conversation.
Yeah.
And if we start changing the conversation, maybe that's when we're going to stop looking at ourselves. We'll start looking at ourselves differently. We'll start looking at other people differently.
Yeah, that is exactly right. And that's why I made that unfollow hate movement.
Yeah.
Really just felt it in my soul. I felt I need to help to change the conversation, because hate on social media doesn't just have to be bullying. If someone is picking themselves apart, it can be internalized as you should pick yourself apart too. So if we stop promoting these people and these companies saying that I'm not good enough, you're not good enough, you need to buy this diet, you need to do this or else you're not good enough. If we stop promoting that, it changes the dynamic of our society just a little bit by bit, but it counts.
And it's what we have control over, right? Because like you said, this is a culture, right? So if we as consumers stop feeding into this, then we are the ones that can change policy and it on a more of a systemic level. Because this is not an individual level. This is a culture that has shaped us. So, and we can choose to resist it. That's the power that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we really tap into that expansive energy that we have, that we've shoved down for so long, we really start to see how powerful we really are. Like even just little old me, I'm nobody big. Donald Trump don't know who I am. I'm nobody. But me just making little posts reminding people that you're good enough, it actually helps to change people's perspective and go a different route. And that's enough for me to keep going. And people messaging me and saying, my perspective has completely changed about myself and my body and food because of what you post. And it makes me really emotional. I'm going to tear up, but just knowing that we, as just one individual person, can help to shift at least one person's perspective. That's incredible.
Listen, Steph, it was our conversation that I was able to get the strength to throw away the scales. Like my best friends for 13 years, weight scale, food scale, gone. Coaches, gone. I was able to trust myself, and I was trying to do that for 5 years.
So what was different about that conversation that made you let go?
Because I was basing my decisions on fear. And when we talked it out, everything that has happened in my life, good, that has brought me to a better place, started from fear and me going against that fear. So anytime I make a decision now, I ask myself, am I basing this out of fear? Am I about to make a decision based on my fear alone? And it was talking with you, and I think you told me that I deserve to know I'm beautiful.
That was really impactful for you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think you really took that in at that time, but I don't think you would have taken it in if you weren't ready.
Oh, I was so ready. And you even said, you're ready. Like, and I think you even said, like, what is it you're waiting for? Like, what is it? Like, what do you need? Because I was so ready, and it was just, I was waiting for that. I don't even know to tell you what it is. It was just, I think it was someone to say, it's okay. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
The world
And so,
is not going to end.
no. And sometimes that's all we need to hear, because I've been in points myself where I'm in a tizzy mentally and I go see my therapist. I love therapy. I promote it all day long, and I will coach until I die because I love helping people. But there's times where I just need to hear my therapist say, it's okay. Just let go. It's okay to let go. You're safe here. And hearing those words from someone you trust, and you know, okay, they're not going to take advantage of me. They're not here trying to take something from me. They want what's best for me. So, okay, I can let go.
Yep. I also see a counselor, and it's good to know that the things that we did, that, you know, what we can say gave us distorted perceptions, and, you know, it was unhealthy. It served, it's really important to, I think, say that it served a purpose. It And that's worth exploring, right? Because there's a reason for all behavior. There's, you know, we don't exist in a vacuum. Like, nothing happens in isolation. There's a reason for all behavior, whether it's healthy or unhealthy. But it served a purpose. So whatever purpose that was, it helped me cope with it in that time.
Yes, that is such a beautiful way to say it, because in times in our lives where we're struggling or we're suppressed or we're pressed down for some reason, we look for some outlet to express ourselves in some ways, whether that be competing or music or art or humor. We use substance abuse. We use some way to express ourselves. We all will. That's just inevitable. We can be suffering at the brink of death, and we will use something to express ourselves, whether it be a whimper or anything. And that can be helpful or harmful.
But whatever it is in that moment, it served a purpose. So it was either protecting me, and that's what it was for me. That was my protection. That was my safety net. So while it was unhealthy for that many years, it most certainly served a purpose. And the beautiful thing is that I can finally now explore why, and to figure out, or to let that person know, that other Jen, that it's okay. I got this.
Yeah, that's what I say. I say, tell that little Jen inside.
Like, I got this. It's good. Like, I can trust me.
Yeah.
And I can trust the people in my life.
Yeah.
And if not, then I got it. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You just move forward.
Yeah. And it's really about letting those walls down, letting the walls down, giving yourself compassion, because I mean, people think letting your walls down just means letting other people in, but it also means letting yourself in.
And I'm very much aware of when I become closed off.
Me too. Yeah.
It happens and your post the other day spoke to me, because I'm like, girl, like, poor Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get totally withdrawn. He knows when I'm in my head, because I just kind of like, it's like that protective thing. Like, I go, something, you know, I feel emotionally threatened, so I better back off, because I can't let you reject me, or I can't let you hurt me, whatever's going on, right?
Yeah. And that's okay. That's okay. We can't judge these times, because in the first part of my healing journey, I would feel like I'm open, I'm free, I'm totally healed. And then I would hit a low where I'm hormonal, or I'm suppressed, or I internalize something, or I'm secure. And I think, oh shit, okay, I'm back at square one. But we can't judge it. We got to give ourselves space. Like what I do is that evening, I gave myself a mental health evening. I didn't post anything. I just gave myself time. I gave myself space. I let myself cry. I opened up with Shane, and I just let it all out, because if I kept it inside, that wouldn't do me any good. You got to get it out.
And that's what I love about what you and Shane are speaking about, your Class of Courage episode 1 and 2. This is what I think as a society we also need to change the conversation about, because we all have feelings. They all, like I said, nothing happens in isolation. They all come from somewhere. Something may present as anger, but you may be feeling something totally different inside. So it's like being able to sit with that and say, yeah, I'm feeling this and it's okay. It's normal, and not numbing it with other things, whether that's medication or whatever that is, but allowing yourself to feel because it comes from somewhere and letting it out to someone you trust.
Yeah. And I say, give yourself the space to feel so you can give yourself the time to heal.
Yeah. You have to feel it to heal it.
100%. If you shut that off, you will never be in a state of healing. Exactly. And I don't think that we're ever totally healed. I think that would be arrogant to say. But I think we're always healing from things, and we're always learning, and we're always having breakthroughs, because we will always hit a new low. Always. But it's that breakthrough that
grow.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And that's what makes life beautiful.
And that's what I feel like I'm finally allowing myself to do, is grow.
Yeah.
Personally. And like I was growing professionally and like in school and stuff like that, but it's like not personally, right? Which makes all other aspects of your life just that much more worthwhile. Like you just feel so worthy.
Yeah. And even taking that time, like something I'm big on, okay, like some of my protocols are unfollowing toxic or throwing out clothes that make you feel like you're not good enough.
I did that.
Yeah. Just getting rid of those things and recognizing what's bad for you.
What doesn't bring, okay, so I asked myself, does this bring me joy?
Yeah, that's
is my heart filling up? Like, am I overflowing? Right.
Yeah.
And if I'm overflowing with happiness or joy, then I know that that's something I need to keep in my life. Is this making me regress? Is this making me want to go back to old habits? That's something worth exploring further.
Yeah.
So it's listening to not only your hunger cues, but the cues of your body, like you were saying about intuition and that gut feeling. It's like trying to really explore what these feelings mean, because they don't happen just out of nowhere.
No. And I really feel like a lot of people, they're kind of confused sometimes when I talk about wellness and I'm talking about dealing with your emotions. They're like, what does that have to do with wellness?
Everything.
It's everything to do with wellness.
Everything. And that's the other thing. If exercise doesn't make you feel good, find something that makes you feel good. Because exercise is not just about, how many steps you get in and how much. Like I finally started doing yoga again, but I'm doing it because it's making me feel good. Yeah. And relaxing my mind where my mind isn't going.
Yeah. And that's how it should be. It should be enjoyable. Your life should be something you look forward to every day. It shouldn't be something you dread. You shouldn't dread waking up in the morning and going to your job that you hate, or being around people that just make you feel shitty about yourself, or eating foods you don't want to eat, doing exercise you don't want to do. I mean, what kind of a life is that? You're slowly dying, and we lived it. We lived it. And we're here to say you do not have to do that.
No. And it's a daily struggle. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, oh, it's all happy-go-lucky, because it's not. There's lots of tears. There's lots of times that I want to crawl into a hole somewhere in the closet and just hide away from the world. But they're lessening. They're becoming less intense.
Yeah.
And it's surrounding yourself with people that you trust and who support your process.
100%. And it's all about that, just creating that better energy, because the more we consume ourselves with that bad energy, the more it grows and the more it grows. And it's just like weeds, and they grow rapidly. And then you're stuck. You feel like you're stuck and trapped and you don't know where to go.
And you begin to question yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So if you start questioning yourself, just remind yourself of the why. And then, obviously, if you're questioning yourself, that means there's something going on that's making you question yourself.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You need to just learn to look inside and find the answers for yourself, because no one else has the answers for you.
And I think that's why it's so important that I wanted to do this with you, because I know women are struggling with this, but we don't talk about it. That's a problem. We talk about, not to talk about your feelings, and, like you say, it's a culture of suppression, and we are resisting that and speaking out about it. And I find, like I said, I did that post today, about 30-day mark in my journey of just getting rid of everything. And I had an outpour of people reach out to me and, say that they have their own struggles. And, so if I could be that support for somebody that you and Megan were for me and my family, and, if I could be that for somebody, that means something to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it's all about. And that's what it takes to change the conversation and to slowly chip away at these ideals in our society that don't need to be there, because they are suppressive, they are depressing, they're not good. So if we can chip away at that any way we can and speak out any way we can, we should.
That's right.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we really went over everything that we wanted to discuss here today. And
I think we could keep going, to be honest, but that's why we need to be doing the roundtable soon.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have lots more to talk about. We're going to be doing more of these. And if anyone else watching this wants to come on and share their story or share their input, I want to hear it. And I'm sure everyone else does too, because we need to open up more. We need to be more vulnerable, more raw, and more authentic, and not give a shit about who we're supposed to be, because we know who we're supposed to be. So I hope everyone enjoyed this class. And if you have any questions or input, you can comment below, or you can message me or Jen. And we will see you next time in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching. And thank you so much, Jen, for being with me today.
Anytime.